Okay, question 3, we've got particle model density to go through. So when water boils, it turns into steam. Tell us about the arrangement of the particles and the density. So we know that the particles are going to get further apart, and because of this, the density will go down. So the gaps will be bigger than in water, so it's a choice of A or B. They certainly won't be smaller, so saying D's out. And the density should be less, so it's going to be B. As spaces have increased and the density has decreased when we turn water to steam. Okay, figure 5 shows some water in a measuring cylinder and a lump of iron. So we're going to put that into there, and then that will displace some water, and it will displace its volume in water. The water level in the measuring cylinder rises to 530. Now, you've got to be sort of careful here, because it's not at 500, that's at 490. It'd be easier to see that on your exam paper rather than my cramped PowerPoint. But we know it's going to go from 490 to 530, so that's a change of 40 centimetres cubed. And then I can put this into, so we've got Dave's massive verruca, or I could change that to rho. Mass equals the density times volume. And then we've got to give our answer to 2 significant figures. And then we can just put these in. Now we're going to have a quick check of the units. Grams, perfect. Centimetres cubed, perfect. So no need for unit changes on this one. So find the volume, 530 take away 490 is 40. Once we've got the volume, plug it into this. So the mass equals the density times the volume. 7.9 multiplied by the 40 that we worked out for the volume equals 316. That would only get me 3 marks, and then I've got to go to 2 significant figures. So the 6 is going to round the 1 up to a 2 to give us 320. A piece of wood has a similar shape and volume to the lump of iron. Explain why, and it gives us some data. Explain why the method used in B cannot be used to determine the mass of the piece of wood. So we can see if I get rid of all of this now, if I get a piece of wood, it's going to float on the top, so it will not be able to displace its full volume. I can't get my hand into that flask very well. That's meant to be a hand, by the way, not a piece of broccoli. And therefore, if I was to try to push that through with a finger, I'm going to get an inaccurate result. So overall, this is a daft measure for wood. So wood floats, 1 mark. So you cannot fully displace its volume in water. Or ideas that it's going to be tricky to fully submerge it in the water. Next part, describe what happens when a substance experiences sublimation. So we know that's when it goes from a solid straight to a gas straight to a liquid. A nice gas straight to a solid. And a good example of this is carbon dioxide. So it changes state from a solid to a gas or vice versa. And that's that question done.